Yo, what is up guys? I'm here hitting you up with a new Etheria restart video as promised today with the PvP tier list. Also something new, I am currently live streaming. We have the chat on the side. If they want to say hi YouTube, now is your chance to be displayed on YouTube. But this is our first. I usually don't do that on stream. I do that off stream. But yeah, let's talk about the PvP tier list. It is structured the same way I did the updated PvE tier list with double S to C to no. And I already added all the units which I feel like don't have any place in PvP or RTA, depends on how you want to look at it, because this tier list also, keep in mind guys, which is important here for this list, this is not a specific RTA tier list. We need to mention this really quick. This is important to mention. This is not a specific RTA tier list. This is a all-purpose PvP tier list. So that includes EVE Arena, Summit Arena, and Guild War, right? Also for offense and defense. These things need to be considered, and that's why we're sitting here, and this is what I want to structure. For RTA, I could make a separate tier list in the future, but this is now specifically for the PvP side in general of the game. I want to start off with the SR units of this game. And the first one we have is Kachi the God. Kachi the God is a niche unit. I don't see him much played anywhere. You really don't see him in the EVE Arena. You do not see him in RTA. And you also barely, on defense side of the game, you don't see him in the Guild War on defenses really. So one of the more rarer units to use, but nonetheless he does have a use for offense purposes in Guild War as well. Really good to have like a 2-turn defense up and immunity caster, which do helps out in some teams because you have 15 units you need to use and you can only use each character once. So he's definitely an option you can look at and use for your Guild War offenses in general if you want to combine it correctly. But overall he's not that crazy type of unit. Then we have a unit which does see a lot more play nowadays. It is not a popular, it's more like a secret resident sleeper stronger unit. And we have Red Chiaki. I'm not sure if I want to put her in A tier. I want to be more conservative here for the time being. We will put her on B tier. I might adjust that later. But we have Red Chiaki. Red Chiaki is actually a really strong healer in this game, and healers in this game are currently actually really busted as well, which we will talk about in a minute with other characters in this game. But in RTA, with a lot of bans, pre-bans, counter picks and stuff like that, she has a lot of time to shine, especially when the more meta picks are getting banned or already drafted. And for Guild, as I said, Guild War is a place to use, and for RTA she has a strong burst heal. You can make use of her. I don't want to really talk about like builds really with like Blood Buff and Lighthouse and Bloodhouse and whatever. It's all the same thing anyways for PvP side of the game. But yeah, she is strong healer. If you want to have another option to your healing lineup, she would be the case. You will make a lot of people frustrated with that addition. Next up, we have Kazuyu. Kazuyu, in my opinion, pre-Revelation nerf, I would put her in S to maybe even double S tier. But because of the way that of the nerf and to Revelation, and she can still be played on Revelation, you do see a lot less Kazuyu in the current meta game. You see Obel way more. So that's why she is more of an A tier unit right now, because meta is also units that are currently used. That is what the meta is at the end of the day. But she is a still nonetheless very strong, very high A tier unit, because she has that AoE attack break, the CC. I don't think I need to tell you anything what she does. And I think currently you would still want to use her on either Revelation or type of support. Like, what is a very deadly combo which you don't want to get through, at least not in the RTA side of the game, is a Lily Kazuyu combo. That is, I tell you, if you experience that, very deadly. Be aware of that. Strong unit nonetheless. Let's keep up with the next unit. Zanya. Where did I put you? Yeah, I can't, no, sorry. I'm trying to think about it. Maybe I will adjust it later down the line when we talk about final adjustments. But that character is extremely open, especially, wait, this is not an RTA tier list, right? This is an all-purpose PvP tier list, right? So we're talking Guild War, we're talking Etheria, and we're talking RTA, right? Those three. Now, she is nuts. Zanya with the current meta, with Bloodbuff being a thing, with her own Gigabyte, with high resistance, the fact that she can cleanse, the fact that she can heal. This character, she can rest. This character's nuts. This character's nuts. One currently of the strongest units in the game, and the fact that she's an SR unit, you can easily max kill her. You can easily lettuce her up completely, and you can easily reach P5 with her, right? Makes her an extremely strong character. She's probably one of the strongest PvP units in the game right now in terms of sustain overall. Like she single-handedly is a reason why you lose matches or win matches, depending on which side of the board she is on. But yeah, definitely incredibly strong. Then we have Yang. Yang is an A tier unit. He is incredibly good because if you use that guy, you want to use him on Revelation. Make him fast, make him on Revelation, because this guy has like a support slash DPS function. He hits 6 times with his S3, so you put him on Revelation. Now you get a lot of Revelation procs with him. It was stronger pre-nerf, but nonetheless, he hits hard. He can strip with his dog on his last 3 hits, basically stripping whatever is there. And because of how his mechanic works, he boosts your entire lineup by 30% turn meter once you max kill him. So if you have him as the fastest unit with a Revelation piece, you could potentially one-shot a unit on the enemy lineup, because he's not that slow. He has like 122 base speed, if I remember correctly. And you one-shot something, and then you get a turn meter boost for your entire lineup, and then they can move next. Very strong. More of a RTA unit than the other modes. Guild War for sure. But yeah, RTA is strongest suit. That's why only A tier based on that. Then we have Vice. Where do we put Vice? Vice, I have a hard choice if I want to put him. It's like a 50-50, chat, you can decide, but like, E for me is, I think, a solid B tier. I think this is accurate, because you see him used in, like, I think Guild War is his strongest suit. I think Guild War is the strongest suit because it's less units, so you can abuse his taunt a lot more with less units, because people have to spread their units, right? So now with him, you can either control the threat or you can control the support with him, and this makes him very strong. You can attack break, he CCs, he can heal. Makes him a very strong PvP unit. Not that many people use him, but I also saw him RTA, and he was actually very annoying to deal with, because he also has healing. So overall, very solid unit. Then we have a unit that got, before the game got released, he got nerfed so heavily that you don't really see him anywhere, but he's still not a no, but he's like a C tier, because he's a single target DPS, Victor, but like really he's not really used that much. There's nothing really to say about him. He was good, but yeah, basically since the game launched, he's a shadow of Didding, basically, right? And there's nothing really more you can say about him. Then next up we have Viper. Viper is for sure an S tier unit. Not SS tier is a stretch, S tier for sure, because first of all, you can use him everywhere. I think he is slightly weaker in Guild War, because he benefits more from a 4 unit lineup plus than a 3 unit, because that makes your overall team slightly weaker, but still strong unit, because he has that basically passive that reduces the damage you take in from crits. And that makes him strong, plus he has the cleansing. I think you guys know what he's doing and what the gist is of him. Very solid unit, can't go wrong. You see him in a lot of defenses in the EVE arena. He gets picked a lot in the RTA as well. Solid unit, has many different builds you can use him on. Never can go wrong with him, and one of the meta options in the game right now. Marvel fell off quite hard, but still a B unit. I wouldn't say C, but B. Nonetheless, you can still use him in PvP. You can use him for actually all content. Like, you can use him as a turn pusher to get turn advantage for RTA. You can still use him in Etheria on fast setups. Like, if people don't run Bulwark, right? I feel like he could actually be a solid option if you don't look too much into CCing your opponent with a stun or something, and the people are not using Bulwark. You can make him go first, slow them down, push them back, do the resist debuff, and then maybe this way you can actually land your stunts with like your O-Ball or Kazuo, or if you want to land a defense break with like a 77 or whatever you might want to use, he can be used there, but still more of a niche option in general. Then we have Didding. Didding is hard for me. Do I want to put him in B tier or A tier? Nah, he B tier. B. I can't give him higher than B because of the abilities. Like, he's solid, but not a pick you necessarily pick in Etheria. Etheria, he's not a solid pick, neither on offense nor on defense. In RTA, he's also more of a niche pick. Like, you probably, if you're more of a aggro type of player, you're drafting him when all your other options are more counter drafted, or you are more in a lower bracket, like a gold, plat type of elo. This is where you see more of a Didding, but in a high elo, you don't really see much of him. Where he is really good though, not kidding, where he's actually really, really good, and you should not underestimate him. That's what single-handedly, in my opinion, puts him into the B tier category, is Guild War. Guild War, this guy has a very solid potential because it's only 3 units. His marker, he has very good damage whatever you give him. You can easily just snipe 1 unit of your enemy team, and then you have a 3-to-1 +1 advantage in Guild War, and based on that, B tier. Now Fangus, in my opinion, I think Fangus could be a secret S tier, guys, but for now, because I need to test him more and saw some of the RTA players did use him, I put him in A tier because of potential. I feel like I could also put him potentially S tier in terms of potential, but for the time being, I put him in A tier. I really want to build my, I really want to get my Fangus to 6-star, put him on a DPS set, and primarily I want to use him for Guild Wars because I think he has a lot of potential. Because the fact is, you can use him as a DPS, he has good damage, and he does not have to act in his own turn to deal damage. You can run him with 2 support units. The support units target whatever they want to do on the enemy side, and then he follows up with his follow-up passive mechanic, which is really strong because now your supporters you have in your team, or healer even, act as a pseudo DPS because they basically just trigger Fangus effect to deal damage. So you get a lot of dot effects going, so you deal damage, then you apply dots with him, and with his S3 you have a little bit of CC or control with his speed down. That helps as well. Now I think a character that fell off quite hard is Gray. Gray, I don't know if I want to put him in B tier or C tier. It's hard for me to assimilate. I feel like C tier already at this point. Like, early game he was strong because the crit rate of the people was not really high. Applied crit rate to everybody. He has that AoE defense break. In terms of utility, he's still not bad, but because of single hit and the current meta with bloodbath, high res, stuff like that, I think he cannot really be used at all, right? Like in lower brackets, lower tiers, probably he still can be used there and does a good job, but once it gets a little bit tougher, he will have a very hard time to show his potential. Then next up we have Kraken. Kraken, in my opinion, is another A tier unit. Freeze is in fact the strongest CC in the game, but I feel like the problem with him is his cooldowns are too long, even though he does have potential. But he's also, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think his S3 is a single target hit, so his freeze is not as reliable because of that, because high resist, as I said, single target hit is also not the best, and we have a unit that does that job a lot better. Nonetheless, CC unit is basically auto A tier in PvP right now in this game. Then we have Obol. Obol is another S tier unit, because Obol is one of the few units who can deal with the current meta in terms of bruiser. He is the go-to option for CCing because he has a stun, he has dots, he has strip, so he has a lot of different things you can make use of him, and he converts buffs into dots. Extremely potent, and what makes him extremely powerful is the fact that his stun on SS3 is a triple hit, and that increases his chances of actually stunning opponents. Like, you see me, if you watch my PvP video, my offenses for the Etheria about cleaving, then you see a lot of my teams, I use him, because why CC so strong against Bruise in this game is the fact that if they don't have immunity, deactivates shells in terms of and specifically Lighthouse and Gigabyte, which in that case would be the strongest, and you have a lot of problems to deal with these type of units. And having a unit that can reliably just stun these units and deactivate that effect is very strong in the current meta game, one of the best units. In terms of Etheria, Guild War, and RTA. Then we have Valerian. Valerian is a tier unit. I can't rank a lot. She's still a sustain healer. You see her a lot. She's actually part of a current, I would say, meta defense or offense for Guild War. Because of the free team lineup, it makes her really strong for certain teams who need attack buff, protection, whatever it might be the case. She is anti-Hoyan as well in PvP, in Guild War. She's not really used that much in Etheria, but you still see her in Etheria. Not that much in offense, more in defense. And in RTA, she's also not that heavily used, but from time to time, she's like a niche counter pick to certain team setups. So she does C-play, and you see her everywhere, generally speaking. And that's why A tier for her. Next up, we have 77. 77 is, by the way, I think for this tier list, quick thing, I don't think I rank them like best to worst. I just put them into the category right now. And maybe the tier list I do after that, then I might, or when I go into specifics, then I will rank them from best to worst. But this is now, for now, also to not make it too long, tier list where I rank them in the certain category and not rank based on from left to right to best to worst, right? I just put them in there. RC77, fantastic PvP unit. He does everything. The very powerful thing about this unit, he has such a high base speed. He has 128. It's incredibly high. Very high base speed, especially with his kit. S3, multi-hit, he can stun, he lands defense break, he lands attack break. With his S2, he can extend debuffs. Very strong control unit, debuff unit in the game right now. Used in Etheria, if you saw my video, I use him. He gets used in RTA high, top tier RTA, he gets used there as well. And in Guild War, he gets used as well. Strong, very strong control unit. Codex, probably one of his best shells. You can also try different combinations with work, but very solid controller in the current metagame. Rin is also an A tier unit, can be used in all content. If you want to use her still in Revelation, Revelation is still useful, not as potent as before, but if you are in a, let's say, RTA speedy type of matchup, where you need control or you need to snipe something, and that's about picking and counter picking, and also in the Guild War and stuff like that, even in Etheria as well, in some of the arena, she's a really good pick on Revelation to deal damage, AoE damage, to deal with whatever you're trying to defeat. Mizuki Makoto, one of the S tier units in the game right now, super strong PvP, sees play in all PvP content, is a counter pick to bruisers, has a crazy amount of damage, strip, shield application, pretty good damage. Like her counter can be deadly. Very solid unit right now, and especially strong in the Bruiser matchup, right? Like, she's basically one of the picks, like in a mirror match, in Bruiser vs Bruiser matchup. She's a pick which you see winning, having a higher win rate than other units in that lineup. Strong unit, very strong unit. Then we have the other Rin, more of a niche unit. I put it also in like just B tier. Has niche unit, saw also some play. Has also good speed, has the taunt, so you can try some shenanigans with her, but she really doesn't see play that much. I just think it's not because she's bad or anything. I think it's just a popularity thing. I think just she's not that popular of a character, and that's why you don't really see her. But I can see her gaining more of a popularity moving forward and being one of the more used units in the future. Then we have Chiaki the Echo. It's a bit too high. I think Chiaki the Echo is a solid B. Solid B. Solid B option. Is used a lot in RTA currently, as for people who like to CC and cleave in general. Because if you are in a mirror matchup and people pick like Mio, Lily, Doki Doki, Tsuki, stuff like that basically, where it's all about starting, getting first turn advantage. They like to put the faster set on the Chiaki because they also assume it gets counter pick, banned, pre-banned, whatever, and then you use her. Like, Chiaki is more of a RTA unit because, or you can also say Guild War unit if you already use the other options. But in an Etheria environment, for example, you wouldn't use her because there's other options. Why would you use her when you have other options? It's just like another option, and that's why I can't give her higher than a B rank. Dinah, also a more of a niche option, B tier. Reason being is I feel like there will be a time you will see her from time to time. Depends on how the meta evolves. But she has also a strong use where I wanted to test her also for Etheria, for like cleave setups and stuff like that. Because you can build her on Revelation. She has 4 hits, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, 4 free hits on S3, so she could deal damage as well. But you primarily want her to land her defense break, land her invulnerable, and if she can land her S2, that other thing which I forgot the name, the third debuff, you can actually dish out quite a bit of damage, and with Revelation you actually can deal quite some damage with her. It's more of a niche pick, but nonetheless can be used in the metagame. One of the stronger picks. Now I have a hard time to rank this girl. I really love her. It's hard for me. Do I rank her A tier or S tier? It's hard. This is a hard pick. Like, I could be like, dude, why do you rank her so high? And then like, dude, why do you underplay her? It's hard. I think I give her an A tier for now, because that my reason to not rank Beyonton higher, even though Beyonton is a crazy strong unit for PvP. She's like an insanely crazy strong unit for PvP. But to unlock her potential, to actually make her use in PvP, she needs her skill 2 level 4. If you don't have skill 2 level 4, unplayable. Don't use her. This is a requirement. Like, S2 needs to be level 4 if you want to plan to use her. If she doesn't have it, you can't use her. Like, no skill ups, no. If you have it, she's there. She does so many things: cycles units, revives units, buffs attack at crit damage, but her primary strongest ability is her S2, just giving 100% turn meter and your lap. Because if you saw my, for example, in PvP, how I combo her with like MaTeIRiA, doing an S3 and then she moves and then gives him another turn and then you get a second S3. Very strong. But what makes her an A tier unit in my opinion over an S tier unit is the fact that her AI is not good. She's a stupid unit in terms of AI, which means is she is more of a strictly offensive type unit, so you cannot put her either on your Etheria defense, nor can you really put her on your Guild War defense. If her AI would be smarter, we can talk about it. But based on just her AI, how she works on defense, that's why I cannot put her on S tier. Because all the other units, if you put them on a defense, they do what they're supposed to do. And what you want them to do with Beyonton, you don't really get that. Sorry guys, I need to... Next up we have Born. Born is a B tier unit for me right now. Almost C, but I feel like C would be a bit of a stretch. But I feel like he is from the SSR characters. Now that we finished all the SSR characters and we moved to the SSR characters, he's definitely one of the weaker SSR characters. Yes, I got clapped by one Born in Guild War once, but nonetheless, I feel like his gimmick he has like a similar gimmick to Messiah with like passive ignore, which is good in general, but nonetheless, I think his kit is still, with his numbers, too weak, right? He's more like of a pure kind of weird DPS type. I don't know what they can do with him, but I feel like he needs a buff. He for sure needs a buff, but maybe with a buff he can get better. But right now, like in Etheria, you do not see him anywhere. Bruiser matchups, RTA, you also don't really see him anywhere. The maximum you maybe see him is like Guild War. He was used earlier on, but like not really that good. Not that good. Maybe I will change my opinion on him in the future, but currently for me it feels like this guy needs a buff. Next up we have Silence. Let me know if you got silenced. Yeah, if you got ripped off by a Silence. I used Silence last season in RTA. She's really good if you run her on a Revelation set, because you can dish out some damage with her. And the powerful ability with her is her Forgetfulness debuff. If you can max out her as free, have a free turn cycle, so you can line it up perfectly with the Revelation. Very, very solid unit overall. It's not enough for S tier though. But also, I did not see a single player having a max latticed Silence. This opinion on this girl can change in the future. She could in the future, like a month or two from now, she could be like still here in A, but she could also be maybe a double S tier unit. We don't know yet, because I feel like a lot of people did not invest that many skill ups in her, maybe 2 in her as free, but I feel like her potential really comes in when you completely lattice her up, when you get the biggest amount of Aqua Shield on her, and for S1 maxed, and then you figure out, is it better to run on like Revelation, or do you want to just go super fast, super tanky on her and got the passive block up? We gotta wait and see for that. But like, she has definitely potential and she helped me a lot. Because of her, with the passive block, it won me a lot of matches in PvP in the last RTA season. So definitely a very, very solid unit. Doki is a S tier unit. I think I wouldn't rank her double S tier. I think would that be a stretch, guys? I think it's a stretch, because all purpose, you see her everywhere. She does her job, what she's supposed to do. She has the cleansing. The only thing that, if you want to say holds her back by anything, is like the fact that you run her speedy and it makes her a little bit squishier. I do see people that like to run a blood buff Doki, but I feel like it's also weird to have a Doki that's not fast, which is kind of, but definitely one of the stronger units. She's single-handedly, when you lattice her up as well, counters CC team. Like, CC teams hate to see her. You see her also like using in bruiser setups just to counter CC basically. Against Cleave she is weaker though, because she's more of a like anti-CC unit. Freya. Freya is definitely S tier. She could almost be here. I'm not kidding. Almost be double S. But I feel like it's a little bit of a stretch. The reason why this girl is so high is her passive, the Dream Guide, I think is it called. Once you skill her up this lattice upper S1, max skill, you have now 4% boost. And the thing is the interaction with her, because it says it boosts whoever has a buff by 3 or 4%. Now, if you put a unit on Bulwark, that triggers by the start of the battle. Now, if you have a slower unit, but with Bulwark on it, and you have her in the lineup, now you can potentially get turn 1 over someone else who has a faster set than you, because you have Freya in the lineup, and because how Dream Guide works, it boosts your unit and makes your unit effectively faster. So you can do the math. Whatever speed you have, if you have a 111 Freya, whatever speed you have, do it times 1.03. That is your actual speed. If you have her S1 max, you do it times 1.04 speed. So you get actually a speed boost. So basically, if you S1 max out, you get around 13 extra speed. It's a lot. It's crazy. So you get a lot of turn 1 advantage. Plus, she's also still, you play her on Revelation. She does really, really good on Revelation. In a speed matchup, she's key, because she decides also like who gets turn 1. She can be used against bruiser teams in the EVE arena. She's weaker though in the RTA for in like against bruiser matchups. You really don't draft her that well into that. She can be used, but she's just a bit weaker there. Guild War, she's also units if you very good usage in Guild War. Also in offense and defense, like I feel like if you want to run a speed defense, she's a requirement. Like for example, if you say, because as an attacker you have a big advantage because you can just move your gear around, but on a defense you can't do that. So if you have a unit that has your fastest equipment on, you want to have one speed defense where you basically want that turn 1 advantage, you have to, at this point nowadays, you have to add Freya to the mix, because only by adding Freya to the mix you can actually ensure to win the speed contest. Because if you see, like for example, someone uses a defense and doesn't use a Freya but trying to speed battle, you can just outplay them by using your speed with Freya in the mix, and now you guarantee your turn 1, and now you can win with that strat. So that's why very strong unit in the current meta game. Then we have Fushu, another ST unit, a little bit weaker than the other one. Reason being, actually, the only reason she's weaker is that she doesn't have immunity and that she doesn't cleanse. But you have shield and you have Terminator manipulation, which makes it good. Nothing much you can add about it. Super strong unit right now in PvP. You can't say much about it. Just slightly weaker than the other option just because she can't cleanse. Fine. Another ST unit currently in the PvP metagame. He just also does a lot of things in all content. I think he's weaker in Guild War though. I am not gonna lie. I think he is not that good in Guild Wars. That's where I think he's slightly weaker than other options. But his stronger suit is RTA and EVE arena, where you can use him both in EVE arena at least, and defense and offense. For if you want to play for CC, because he has the strip, which makes him good. Definitely a unit that also gets banned often in the RTA. Then we have Halkid. Halkid got buffed, but still does not really see play, guys. Like, I don't know, maybe for people in chat, correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like I can't rank him currently higher than A. I think he has a solid kit. I think Halkid's problem is that the meta is not where he wants it to be. I think the current meta is just not what Halkid wants to see right now. I feel like Halkid is the strongest against CC because he provides the shield, which gives basically immunity to your entire team, which is strong, and they can just CC control you the entire time. But in a bruiser versus bruiser matchup, it is a little bit tougher for him. It's a little bit tougher for him to perform, and against Cleave, like, I don't know. It's like he's in a weird position right now. Even though he got buffed, he's still in a weird position. It's hard to make him use. Correct me if I'm wrong with him, but I don't see him. I don't see him in defenses. I don't see him in offenses. I really don't see much Halkid action at all. Could also be the case that people just don't prioritize him right now, didn't invest any lattices in him. It might be a thing over time, but I think he can be useful. So someone says if blood buff gets nerfed, Halkid will rise. Could be the case that a blood buff nerf would be great for a Halkid, because then a Halkid with his speed could get the turn 1 advantage, get a big shield for your entire team, and basically acts like a Zulu blood buff if someone tries to cleave you. And now if for example DPS gets in, now in that sense you at least don't get like one shot at him. It could be the case, but currently maybe it's actually the blood buff meta that might be the reason that he's not as good as he should be. Then we have Holden, S tier unit. He is good everywhere. He's really good everywhere. Would I put Holden in double S tier though? This is so hard. This is so hard. All purpose. I think Holden is slightly weaker. So here's my thought process. The reason I can't put Holden higher than S tier is because he's slightly weaker in Guild War. He also benefits a lot from having more units in his team. He does. It's a fact. The more units you have, the better he becomes. But because of Guild War with only the 3-team lineup, I cannot put him double S. It's not the same tier. Zanya, you can literally put in all the PvP content. It's insane. It's insane what she can do. And that's why I have to slightly put him below. And also, like, the best bet is, you know how he gets strong? If you combo him, for example, with a Zanya, for example, right? He needs some combinations with other units. Then he becomes very strong. If you gladys him up, he becomes even stronger. But I feel like he really gets unlocked by the support he gets, right? That's why only S tier, which is already very strong. If you look at the units I put in here, you can tell how strong the S tier category is, right? Then we have Hoyen. Hoyen is a low S tier pick. It's hard. Do I put a low S or high A? No, just high A tier, guys. High A tier. So Hoyen a high A tier. Why? Etheria, not good. Etheria, she's not good. There are just better options out there to play either against tank or speed or whatever. Can be more of a niche pick there. Where she becomes really good is in RTA, where she is a solid counter pick against cleave. Like, she's a really solid counter pick against cleave. In general, a little bit weaker against tanks. And where she's really strong is in Guild Wars. In both offense and defense, Hoyen is extremely strong. And you actually, I'm not kidding you guys, moving forward in the near future, one of the meta strats in Guild Wars will be building units that are Hoyen proof. Okay, those will be that will be a thing, building Hoyen proof defenses, because you will always have to keep in mind, okay, how does my defense look like? Does my defense win against a Hoyen or not? That is a question. Or people be like, yeah, no, Hoyen can kill that. That will be a thing, trust me. That will be 100% a thing with Guild War. And I think, or United Front, however you want to call it, that will be a thing that becomes more popular over time. Very solid pick. The only reason she is A tier, not S, is because she's not good in Etheria. That's about it. Otherwise, solid unit. Chloros is a decent single target DPS, but I feel like he's also more of a B-type unit. I would love actually to see someone cooking up some Chloros strats. I feel like he has, I think this guy has actually potential in, what is it called again? In Guild War. I think this guy actually has potential in Guild War offenses to kill certain things, because he has that golden debuff and stuff like that, which cannot be cleansed. So this guy could potentially be really cool in a Guild War environment. And I would love to see people cooking up strats with him in RTA. But like solid single target DPS option, but not the end all be all. Yeah, that's for that. Next up we have Klaus. Klaus is another A tier option. Like, she is really solid, not crazy, solid in RTA. Does her thing. You can get turn 1 advantage, S2, and AP manipulate. Not that crazy in Etheria right now, especially with all the resistance going on. Nothing too crazy in RTA either, because I feel like her kit is slightly too weak for RTA. Like, it's super hard using her in Guild War, because yes, you have a defense break, you have a speed slow, the hack in, a little bit of manipulation, but it's hard. Like, how do you want to combo her in the right team setup, right? It's not that easy with her. Like Guild War, I think she struggles a little bit more, and that she's also a unit that like benefits more from having more teammates. And yeah, still solid option in some RTA matchups, but can't give her higher than an A. Then next up we have Lilium. Now where does Lilium belong? Lilium belongs into the double S tier. I'm just kidding. Lilium is also solid S tier. Lilium is also a S tier unit. For double S, it's not enough because she's not that great in Etheria. There, she's like whatever. You do see her in defenses nowadays because bruisers do like to add now a Lilium to their defensive lineup to counter CC lineups. So they have some sort of counterplay against that. But like for offense and stuff like that, she's really not good there. But where she's really good is RTA, and she is really good in she's extremely powerful, by the way, in single target nukes generally are really strong in Guild Wars. This is where she's performing the best, also both in offense and defense. She's really doing a fantastic job there. There's still like, we're still in the finding phase of right synergies, team setups and stuff like that, but she's super strong in this type of content. And RTA, she does a fantastic job now with a buff. 100% HP destruction makes it a lot easier to battle bruisers. There you have the anti-CC that helps her out quite a bit. You do need the right team setup for her, so she does not die as quickly. Solid option overall, but not enough for a double S. Lilith, next one. I haven't seen a single Lilith in this game that is 555. So I wonder how a 555 Lilith looks like. But Lilith, like, I'm telling you something. If Lilith is 111, she's here. 111 Lilith sucks ass. Not good. Now, if you have like a 515 Lilith, now she's here. Okay, this is a unit that needs lattice investment. In my opinion, she needs her as skill 3 maxed out, and she needs her S1 maxed out. But ideally, this unit is a 555 unit. She needs everything maxed. This is where you unlock Lilith full potential. But 515 is bare minimum what you want to have her. You want to rotate faster with her skills. S3, extra turn into S2, and once you maxed her S1, she basically has what you call in Summoner's War the Violent Rune system, where she gets procs, and 20% proc chance is really high. So you do S1, proc, boom, she gets another one, procs maybe even again, and then you can S3 into S2, and you can dish out a lot of damage. Solid unit overall, can be used everywhere, sees a little bit less play in Etheria, but you do see her in higher rank RTA. This is where she's used more commonly, not in lower brackets. There you rarely see her, more in higher brackets. And she also has a fair share use in Guild War, but she is a heavy lattice required unit. This unit, no lattices, C tier, with lattices, S tier, okay? Maybe even double S once she's like 555, who knows? But for now, to put it safely, S tier unit. Next up, we have Yali, another S tier unit in my opinion. Strong, still Revelation, good on her, not as strong as before. Gets those, she's a lot weaker against bruises nowadays. Is used though in Etheria, both offense, defense, is used in RTA. Is not the best option anymore. Is used in Guild War in both offense and defense. Really good option overall. One of the best DPS in the game. Solid option overall. But she is not the ultimate answer to everything. Lily, where do I put you? I feel like it's hard to put you into IUSS Lily. IUSS. It's actually hard to put her. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, if you think she's too high, but I do think Lily is still a double S tier. Would be in that sense also a double S tier unit. She's not as crazy strong in Etheria than other options, but she's still a really strong option nonetheless in both offense and defense if you have the correct lineup for her. With her speed, the whole thing, how she works. Guild War, very solid option, both offense and defense, depends on how you combo her. Very, very strong unit, helps a lot in Guild War, and she's both good in an environment with a lot of units, and she's also really good in an environment with less units in a 3v3 type of situation. And the most powerful ability about her in RTA is not actually being her in the battle, but her being in a draft. You see a lot of Lily first picks, Lily bans, but Lily bans happen more rarely because if you play RTA, everybody has Lily for some reason. Like, I don't know why people say, I don't have Lily or complain. Like, if you play RTA, everybody has Lily. So you see her either getting picked first, or if you get to pick her, expect 99% of the time that she gets banned. And if she does not get banned and you can actually play her in RTA, be surprised. And depending on your draft, she can be stronger or weaker, but she's definitely one of the strongest still options in the PvP. So I think SS is deserving still for a Lily. Next up, we have the good old... Dude, I have so many units. I need to pick up the pace. This is like an hour. I'm recording for 50 minutes at this point. I'm going strong, guys. Linglao is another ST unit. Double ST, sorry. So Linglao is another double S tier unit. Can't argue with that. Every single defense Etheria has Linglao. You play Bruiser, Linglao. Guild War, Linglao. RTA, you play Bruiser, Linglao. She cleanses, she heals, she puts immunity, she extends healing and immunity. She has a passive that heals and cleanse. The only thing she doesn't do is dealing damage. That's about it. But outside of that, she does legitimately everything. Every single thing. And I think I will not elaborate further on that. You can make a fast, you can make a blood buff, you can do so many different things with her. It's absolutely insane how strong that unit is. Definitely one of the top units in PvP right now. If you get rid of these two units in PvP, you notice how a lot weaker Bruiser comps are. These units make Bruiser so strong with the current mechanics in the game, with Blood Buff Lighthouse, Amber, everything in there. It's ridiculous how powerful these units are. You have to play a lot to realize how strong these units actually are. Next up, we have MaTeIRiA. MaTeIRiA, in my opinion, is the best DPS in the entire game right now. For sure, he's better than Lilium, Yali, because this guy single-handedly makes or breaks a entire playstyle with cleaving possible, because the powerful thing about him, which also makes him kind of future-proof, is the fact that he has a defense ignore, which is huge, and he ignores passives. So if someone, for example, uses a Viper, he ignores Viper's crit passive to reduce damage. That's why if you compare the damage a Yali does versus a Viper versus a MaTeIRiA, MaTeIRia's damage output versus a MaTeIRiA, it's a difference of night and day. Because against a MaTeIRiA, it's not getting triggered. Against a Yali gets triggered. MaTeIRiA can one-shot Hoyans because it does not get triggered. Stuff like that. Super, super solid. Super, super strong. Useful in all PvP content. Everywhere. Fantastic job. Super fantastic. Reason he's not double S tier is that he requires very specific setups. He needs a lot of setup and protection to work. You can't just slap it on anything and it works. Like Lily or Linglao, for example. He needs a little bit of setup. Then we have Mia. Mia is... I think she's S tier. I think she is a... If you don't give Mia skill ups, she is A tier. Mia without skill ups is an A tier unit. If you at least invest into her S1 to get more speed, she is super high A. If you invest into her S2 to improve her dispelling effect, that puts her into S tier, in my opinion. I think this is where she puts, like, she needs the investment, lettuce investment, and that puts her in the S tier category. She's fast, she has the cleanse, she has the healing, she helps your units, reduce cooldowns. Very solid overall, but also because she's a healer, but she needs lettuce investment. And the cool thing about her is the fact that she has not only a dispel with her S2, but she dispels and pushes back turn meter. Can be helpful in certain situations. Then we have Mio. Mio is another S tier option. Strong in Etheria in both offense and defense. Strong in RTA. Not as strong on Guild War defense, because on Guild War defense, even though she's still good there, she is getting countered by, okay, see me on defense, let me just gear 3 of my units on, like, let me do a triple bulwark setup, and now she does nothing. So you have to deal with that for sure. She's strong. She's the only unit in the game currently that has an AoE wound. Basically makes her the only unit that can deal, not the only, one of two with Heinrich, but more, I would say, easier to deal with Amber units. If there are multiple Amber units on the enemy team, you get a better option with her because she can freeze and then also apply the wound. Now they don't get turn meter passively because they got frozen, and with the wound debuff, if you now trigger the Amber, they only res with 1 HP. Now you can easily kill them. But overall, solid starter, one of the stronger units or strongest units in the game right now. Solid overall everywhere. I use her, I love her. Great unit. I want to invest a little bit more on lattices, but she's also a unit you have to invest in terms of lattice. At least the speed, level 4 S1, crystal clear, and the more you put in her, the better she becomes. Now is currently a, I think C tier is a stretch, but he's like B tier. I mentioned in my post that you can buff him, like the only buff he really needs to be a solid, like he can be potentially, this guy can potentially be an S tier unit, but the buff this guy needs is a buff to his S3, where he just needs, the only thing they need to change is making his single target S3 AoE skill to a multi-hit, like a 2-hit. If his S3 hits twice instead of once, now it would increase his consistency with AoE defense breaking and freezing, and now he's a very, very viable CC option in the meta game for PvP. But because of the high resistance currently going on with single head, with the innate 10% resistance, and only 70% chance to land a defense break and 50% chance to freeze, he's not good. Not good right now. And he's a heavy lattice investment. He's a heavy lattice investment unit, so you have to invest a lot to make him work. If he doesn't have lattices, don't bother with him at all. Do not bother with him if he does not have skill ups. Next up, we have Rahu. Rahu, also S-tier unit. One of the stronger options, especially in a Bruiser mirror match setup. He is very potent, especially against Tiamats. He becomes very powerful, dealing with a lot of stuff, and especially like in Guild Wars, over time, he performs really well there because of the reduction effects that's going on, and he becomes just really, really strong. He can also single-handedly deal with Bruiser comps, the way he works and plays out. Solid unit. Worth building. Can't go wrong with Rahu. Then we have Ramoka. Ramoka is one of the weaker options, really. She is currently, I would say, a B tier unit. Can't rank her higher because all her effect, like her gimmick, is using her as free with the multi-hits to kill and then do the splash damage, right? But blood buff is a thing, and blood buff is on almost every unit, and you're probably not gonna kill anything with her because of that. And if you're going into a speed battle with who's getting turn 1, then there are other options as well you can use. You don't necessarily need her, so that's why low B tier. You can almost put her in C tier, but I feel like she's definitely better than Victor, so low B tier currently, just because of the meta. If blood buff wouldn't be a thing, she could potentially be better, but based on that, I can't rank her higher than that. Rosa, I think, is a A tier unit. Solid unit on Revelation, has debuff going on, has everything going for her, can be used everywhere, does a good job as a blue DPS. Solid unit, crit buff, Z with Revelation, gets more damage off, has the passive effect with the follow-up, so you can do some shenanigans with her. But still, I wouldn't put her into the S tier category because I feel like it is quite lacking in that regard. Another S-tier unit is for sure Tiamat. So Tiamat, I don't think we need to talk about it. Her and Amber with her mode switch and stuff like that, do funky stuffs. I think Tiamat is especially strong in the cleave matchup. She is weaker in a bruiser matchup, where she has to face units like a Rahu or a Mizuki. This is where she's getting like more, she becomes more of a fodder unit, because her damage against these type of units who are heavily play on defense and stuff like that, she does not provide that much damage, and she's not really built for the craziest damage. And she is good against the cleave because she's more built on HP, which makes her very, very tanky, and her survivability is just crazy against those. So those are where units like Holden and Rahu and even a Mizuki are slightly weaker, where she becomes a little bit stronger overall, but can be used in every content, in every PvP content. I mean, very strong pick, very annoying. You see a lot of Tiamat. Also a unit that gets pre-banned from time to time in the RTA. Can't go wrong. Tsukiyomi, definitely ST unit. Dude, there's so many units I put in S tier right now, but it is what it is really. Strong unit, is the starter in offense, defense, and Etheria. Very strong pick if you're trying to get turn 1 advantages in RTA, if you cleave, if you CC. Very strong for offense and defense in Guild War, like super strong. She's a lot stronger, for example, than a Lily in Guild War because of how she functions, boosting and stuff like that. And she also allows you, if you want to play more of a DPS aggro style, making your units slower, DPS units slower. They don't need to be fast, they can be slow, and just like push the maximum amount of damage on your units, and you're good to go. Then we have Veronica. I feel like Veronica, in terms of the current meta, is more of a niche pick. I think she's an 80 unit. She is used in Etheria from time to time on some defenses, but she's not that widely spread. I also don't know how much she's currently used in the high ranks of the RTA. I'm not sure how much she's currently used there, but I think she's not that crazy played, but she does see play from time to time. And in Guild War, she does feel a little bit like she does feel quite weak in Guild War. Like, she doesn't do anything than like one turn protection, and I think attack break was at the S2. And if you know what you're fighting or up against, she's like, not that good there. Solid unit, but I feel like she needs a little bit more time to develop into the meta. And I think what raises her stocks are also a blood buff nerf, because she has the mechanic of, if your defense gets touched, or if she gets touched, if you invest lattice into her, she pushes herself by 35%. Now this is where she becomes strong, because she's definitely an anti-cleave unit, and if blood buff gets nerfed, then there's a reason to use Veronica more often. And I think a nerf or a meta change is what could change her from being an A tier to an ST unit. But the way it is currently, at least for all purpose, A tier is what I can give her. Last but not least, we have Ziara. Ziara is the final unit, also A tier. She can be used in RTA. She can also be used in Etheria for a cleave set. No, not cleave. Cleave is maybe like for a revelation setup, I would say. Revelation setup is a little bit more accurate. A lot, like, she's weak in Guild War, but nonetheless in the other content she can be used. You do not see her on defenses at all, but you do see her decently picked from time to time. But yeah, this is all I can say about her. Not the craziest unit, but still usable. And yeah, that's about it. So guys, this is the final list in terms of the all-purpose PvP tier list. This is not specifically RTA, Etheria, or Guild War. This is all-purpose, all PvP content. This is how I rank these characters from C to SS. This recording is already over an hour long. Absolutely crazy how long I'm already talking here. But yeah, guys, that's it. Let me know in the comments down below how you feel about it. Do you agree? Do you disagree? If I see lol, why is this character in that tier? I know you didn't watch the video and I don't bother replying. So that's for that. And yeah, guys, as always, if you enjoyed watching this video, don't forget to leave a like and a comment down below. I really appreciate it. And see you with the next one. Deuces.